You think she forgot you, but she didn't. And this is something many people misunderstand about human emotions. When someone was once important in your life, your brain doesn't simply erase them like deleting a message. Memories don't work that way. They stay in small corners of the mind, waiting for the quiet moments to remind you that they are still there. She might not talk about you anymore. She might act normal with her friends, go on with her daily routine, laugh, post pictures, and seem completely unaffected. From the outside, it can look like she moved on without even looking back. But silence has a strange power. Every time she opens her phone and your name doesn't appear on the screen, a tiny thought crosses her mind. It's quick, almost invisible, but it's there. Why hasn't he texted? And not because she's desperate, not because she's waiting every second, but because when someone was once part of your routine, their absence becomes noticeable. The brain is used to a pattern. When that pattern suddenly disappears, the mind starts questioning it. You see, words are loud in the moment. Messages come and go, conversations end, but silence lingers. Silence creates curiosity. It creates questions. It leaves space for the mind to fill in the blanks. And that's why sometimes your silence speaks louder than anything you could actually say. She might never admit this out loud. Pride rarely allows people to confess these quiet thoughts, but deep down, she notices the difference. Because when someone who used to be present suddenly disappears, their absence becomes a message of its own. Now here's where things become complicated. There are moments when she thinks about texting you, not a long message, not something emotional or dramatic. Sometimes it's just a simple thought. Maybe I should just say hey, just one word, one small message that could reopen the door to conversation. But right when that thought appears, another voice steps in. And that voice is her ego. It whispers things like, "Don't do it. If he cared, he would text first. Why should you be the one reaching out?" This is the internal battle that most people never talk about. Her heart remembers the connection. It remembers the laughs, the late night conversations, the way things used to feel easy between you two. The heart doesn't operate on logic. It operates on emotion. But the ego is different. The ego protects pride. It protects dignity. It tries to prevent the feeling of rejection or vulnerability, because sending that message means risking something. It means risking the possibility that you might not respond the way she hopes. It means opening the door to disappointment. And most people would rather protect their pride than risk emotional exposure. So instead of texting you, she closes the chat. Instead of saying hey, she convinces herself it's better to stay silent. And this doesn't mean the feelings disappeared. It simply means the ego won the argument, at least for now. That's why sometimes the strongest emotions remain hidden behind the quietest actions. Here's something psychology teaches us about emotional connections. When someone truly mattered to you, your brain stores those memories differently than ordinary experiences. Moments tied to emotion, especially strong emotion, become deeply rooted in the mind. They don't fade as quickly as people think. That's why sometimes late at night, when everything is quiet and distractions are gone, memories start resurfacing. She might find herself scrolling through old chats, reading conversations that once felt so natural. Messages that used to make her smile without effort, not because she wants to go back, and not necessarily because she regrets what happened, but because curiosity is powerful. Humans naturally wonder about unfinished stories. She might look at an old picture of the two of you and think for a moment about how things used to be. The way you joked, the way you talked about random things, the way time seemed to pass so easily when you were together. And for a brief second, a thought crosses her mind. What if things had turned out differently? And not everyone admits these moments. In fact, most people hide them, because revisiting memories doesn't always mean someone wants to restart the relationship. Sometimes it just means that part of their story still lives quietly inside their mind. Memories aren't chains, but they are echoes. And echoes tend to appear when the world becomes silent. Here's the truth most people rarely say out loud. Missing someone and reaching out to them are two completely different things. She might miss certain parts of what you had. The conversations, the comfort, the familiarity, the small things that once felt normal but now feel distant. But missing someone doesn't always mean a person will act on those feelings, because pride is powerful. Many people would rather sit with their curiosity than risk appearing vulnerable. So instead of sending a message, she waits. Not necessarily because she believes you'll text, but because waiting feels safer than making the first move. Waiting protects her ego. It allows her to keep the emotional distance while still holding onto the possibility that maybe, just maybe, you'll break the silence first. And that's the strange part of human relationships. Two people can still think about each other, both wondering the same thing, yet neither of them sends the message. Not because the feelings are gone, but because sometimes silence becomes a test of who will care enough to speak first.